Okay, so I think the meeting just went to being recorded, so you may want to ask that again.
Okay. How long have you been an educator?
Um, Formally, I've been an educator about 5 years. I think it was kind of a natural progression for me. I didn't recognize it at the time, but even when I was in leadership positions, I had this style that was more about teaching than trying to discipline staff. So I would say formally, I would say 5 years I've been an educator.
Okay, cool. The second question: what is the characteristics should an educator have?
I, I think you really have to care about your students. Um, I mean, you have a care and concern for the material and the field that you're educating in, but you have to concern yourself with the students. You can't lose sight that these are human beings. I think especially with the COVID pandemic, there has to be a level of empathy that you display towards people's situations. Um, I mean, the deadlines and the criteria are what they are. I mean, you have to be able to produce a certain amount of material that comes on time. But I think you as an educator, you also have to have a passion for your students and a genuine concern for them to progress professionally as well as personally.
I like that answer.
Okay. Mhm.
Second, this might kind of came with the characteristic of the second question, bro. Does being an educator bring joy to your life?
Oh, best job I ever had, brother. Absolutely. I mean, I wish it paid more. Actually, I took a reduction in salary to become an educator. Um, but I mean, there's times that it's challenging, but I mean, it's just really rewarding work. It really is. I really enjoy it.
Cool. Fourth question is: as an educator, do you can you give a brief summary of how you impact the youth?
A brief summary of what?
How you impact the youth?
I think the way that I impact them the most is really just being as genuine as I can. Um, Presenting material that they may not be familiar with in a manner that is not too academic. It is like I'm able to take theory and give them like this practical presentation of it, which is really kind of been helpful not only for me but for my students. To some of the issues that you deal with that go beyond um, just the material, right? I mean, you get an email that somebody's got COVID, somebody's pregnant, somebody this, somebody, so all of these sort of things bring you back to, okay, I can't not make the content. This is what it is. This is what you're held responsible for. But I am fortunately in enough position that I can use some empathy and try and guide it along in a manner that it works for you. Oh, do I have a favorite age group to what? I do. I really like that undergraduate level. I've worked with teenagers before. I mean, they're cool. I could do them, but I like the age group I'm with because I get anybody from 18 to 80, right? I mean, I have some students that are older than me in the class, and then I have some that are young. I think that really it keeps me sharp as well, because I have to, the 80-year-old does, well, I'm saying 80, but let's say the 60-year-old does not learn the same way that the 20-year-old learns, right? And now, especially with all this technology being used, some of the older students have struggled with that. It's on you, Trav.
How do you become a social worker, and why did you choose the career?
Social work kind of chose me. Um, I really didn't know too much about it. What had happened was I went to college right out of high school, but I never completed it. And then I started working and had a family, and all these sort of things started happening. And I got to a point in my life that I just knew I wasn't generating enough money, and kind of that I just felt stagnated. So I decided to go back to school to finish my bachelor's degree. My initial thing was I thought I was going to get involved with psychology. And then I was having some conversations with people, and it led me to the social work department. And then I kind of just fell in love with it. And so I finished my bachelor's degree, and I kept going and got my master's degree. And was fortunate enough, I was in uh, that whole prisoner reentry uh, movement, so to speak. You had a lot of people coming home from prison, and there were these agencies that were popping up to deal with that population. So I was fortunate enough to get involved with that very early, and that's kind of like what helped to develop me as a social worker, and then eventually put me in positions of leadership amongst, with certain agencies. So I would say that the short answer to that, social work chose me. I didn't choose it.
It be like that sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how many sad stories have you heard as being a social worker?
Oh, brother. Uh let me flip that question a little, because I use the term Negro spiritual, but everybody got a Negro spiritual, right? Everybody come in with a story, and it's you kind of got to keep certain boundaries. It starts to carry into your own life, right? And you start um, having trouble separating things. So the nature of the work is sad stories, right? It is, and some of them will break your heart, but professionally you have to keep boundaries so that you don't lose focus, that I need to be able to try to assist this individual or this family or this community, whatever you're working with, in order to be in a better position than when I first met you. And to be honest with you, the one of the greatest things about social work is it's about resources. So you show up, you could have a whole different set of problems than if Brenda showed up, right? And I need to be able to, because I don't have all the answers to your problems, but I'm listening, and I'm like, oh man, okay, Trav, I know who to call, and I could call somebody, right? And they're not going to just look at me like, who is this? I'm calling them, and they're like, hey, Warren, what's up? I'm like, look, I got my man at my desk right now. I'll send them over. That's how that works. You understand what I'm saying? So it's all about having social capital. It's about having resources that you can tap into in order to help people out.
Okay, as a social worker, how can we build a solid family foundation?
As a social worker, how can we build what?
A solid family foundation.
Ooh. My first thought is that the dynamics of what we all consider family has changed so much over the years, right? And the diversity of what is considered family, it has to be recognized. So, I don't think really we're still living in an era that we say the family is the mother, the father, two kids, a dog, and a house with a white picket fence, right? Yet, that's the image that was kind of given to a lot of us when we were coming up on this is what the family should look like. Yet, very few people I know, their family looks like that, right? And then if you start to also add in now, um, you know, the LGBTQ community and the dynamics that go around that, the whole view of what a family is has changed. So one of the things that I would do if I'm working with someone is I have them identify who they feel is part of their family, right? Because it might be a cousin. They might be closer to their cousin than they are their own brother, right? Um, and then you have what's called family of origin. So that you have no choice over, right? That's, the family that you were born into, so to speak. Yet, when you get a certain age, you're able to create a family of choice, right? So now you might get a partner and you may have children, you may adopt children, you may not have, you may just be you and the partner, right? Whatever that looks like to you, I always turn it back on the individuals to you identify family for me. So this way we can have a working foundation of how do we work through that, right? I can't say, oh no, that's not your family. Your family is this. We'll never get nowhere like that.
What are your goals and plan for Triumph?
What are my goals and plans for what?
Triumph.
Oh, for Triumph. Wow. My so let's talk short-term goals. My short-term goals really would be to I want to see that spot in Brooklyn become like the spot, man. I think that spot has a lot of potential, and I think it has um, the staff there that it could just really really take off, and the ideas and the creativity that are around that Brooklyn location. I just think I mean, sky's the limit there. Um, I want to see us build up the Newark location, right? I think that if we can get Brooklyn moving the way it could be, get Newark moving the way it could be, I think at that point we're able to reevaluate some of the other, let's say, properties or some of the other locations. Do they still work with Triumph's mission? So I think Triumph has a tremendous amount of potential. I think that it's a really really great spiritual center, and I just see that we have a good team of people that we can move towards um, at least these short term goals at this point, and and then reevaluate and see where do we want to go in the long term.
Okay. What is your vision? Where do you see Triumph in the next 10 years?
Oh, so okay. So I just took you 5 years. I got to take you 10 now. Okay, Trav. Trav, come with the trick questions, Brenda. Um, let's see. 10 years. I see in 10 years, I see the North and the Brooklyn locations being self-sufficient. I do. I see them generating enough revenue through tithing and fundraising and events that both of them are able to be self-sufficient, and then we can look at really starting to make a stronger. In fact, I'm put this back in the short-term goal to get to the 10. We have to build up stronger relationships with the community, right? And again, similar to what I said about family, we can't go into the community, even though we've kind of been there, and tell them what they need. The community has to tell us what they need, right? And then we try to work with them to accomplish that. But communities change, the demographics change. You have some people that'll live there for a year and they're gone. You have other people who've been there 30 years, they're not going nowhere, right? So you have all of that going on. So I think that the long-term goal is to have a real solid presence and relationship, a healthy relationship with the communities where Triumph is, where it's located.
I like the answer too. The last question is, what made Triumph different than the other churches?
So that's a great question. I actually had a significant amount of conversation with Sandra when she asked me to join the board, because while I am spiritual, I am not religious. And I've been very impressed with how far away from religion, actual religion, Triumph really is. It's really more of a spiritual sort of concept and foundation than just the dogma of traditional religion. So that's kind of what drew me to it, and having a lot of conversation with her, because initially I was going to turn the position down to join the board. I'm like, I don't think I'm your person for this. And then she said, no, you're exactly the person we need, right? Because your views are not like, you're not so connected. Sometimes you can be so intimately connected or involved with something that you don't see the bigger picture, right? And I was coming in and I could see the bigger picture. So that's kind of been, and I fall in love with it. I fall in love with the people. I really enjoy the the mission that we're on to try and really revitalize Triumph. And I just think we're in a good place right now.
That's it.
Oh, that wasn't bad, man. That was 11 already?
Yeah, it was 11.
Oh, man. All right. That wasn't bad.
I'll
Okay.
ask a question to follow up with that last one. Is there any particular topics or people that you're interested in seeing at Triumph, if that makes sense? Like anything that you would like to see in particular during our gatherings?
So I want to see, I don't know that much about the Brooklyn neighborhood. To my fault, I probably should do some more research on that neighborhood. But the Newark neighborhood is somewhat impoverished, and you have a population that's in that neighborhood that really is they've been oppressed for years. They're undereducated. They are kind of living in poverty, right? So the socioeconomic status of that neighborhood is not that high. I would love to be able to connect with that neighborhood, find out what it is that they need in order for us to, be able to raise their consciousness as well as their socioeconomic status in some way, even if we were just making connections to other things. And so I would say, again, even without knowing the Brooklyn neighborhood, that would be almost my same response to them. I want to give the neighborhood or the community where we're located what they want. I don't want to define that for them. I want them to tell us what they need, what they want. And we're just kind of the hub to be able to provide that.
I agree with you completely. I suppose during this time it's difficult to be in person and to even just knock on doors or to have music playing and, you know, a friendly atmosphere for people to come in and just to start those conversations. Do you have any suggestions in terms of it being more COVID friendly or online friendly?
It's tough, right? Because we don't have people's email addresses the way we could. We probably don't have their social media accounts, or be able to invite specific people to like our page. So really without being able to just go knock on doors or to have that event, right? That open house sort of event. And even to have the open house sort of event, there still has to be some sort of promotion of it, and knowing even, okay, let's say Friday at 5 o'clock works for us. That might not work for that community. I mean, and you're not going to capture everybody, but knowing like what times and days are the best for the community, those sort of things are important. And then we have to make ourselves available. It's not them making themselves available to us, right? So those little things like that really go a long way. And I guess really right now, especially with COVID, trying to get some sort of response. I mean, I guess we could kind of make flyers up and put them in their mailboxes, asking them to log in to something or something like that. But I really don't know how great of a response you'll get from that initially. But yeah, I'll have to wrap my mind on that one, Brenda. That's a tough question during this time. Like, how do you really do solid community organizing around COVID? Without, it'd be different if we already had a solid like listserv of people, right? But our listserv is probably not that strong right now.
It will take some research. And thank you for the ideas and the everything that you just mentioned is very helpful. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Good.
My mind is buzzing. Okay.
So
If we're good, if there's any final thoughts, any last minute questions?
no, but I mean, you guys have my email, but I'm going to put my cell in the chat. So if you need anything, let me know.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, thanks. And I appreciate both of you. You're doing great work. Keep it up.